Welcome to an afternoon of language and laughter with Richard Lederer. Richard Lederer is a Mensa treasure, a lifetime member, and really he's an American treasure. Dr. Lederer has written over 50 books about language, including Anguished English and Get Thee to a Punnery. And thank you, Richard. He did make a list of them, but Judy is not here to help us to get it to you, so we'll get it to you afterwards. So that you all know how to do that. He's written innumerable media articles, including a 25-year column in the Mensa Bulletin. He's been called the Wizard of Idiom and Conan the Grammarian, and among his many accolades has received the Golden Gavel of Toastmasters and been named International Punster of the Year. So, welcome Richard Lederer. With words no one is better. You're a voracious verbivore. Your audience screams more, more, more. Thank goodness you're a go-getter.
I'll try to do something that's better, or my name isn't Richard H. Lederer. I just wanted to respond to her. What is it? My grammar's definitive. I'll unsplit your infinitive and untangle your participle, etc. And speaking of that, you know, I'm sure many of you know, and I'll bet you some of you here contributed to the contest. I'm running a contest once a year, and I did one on Christmas limericks. And I was absolutely slammed in a way that I adore. And I think 3 or 4 of your area chapter writers of limericks you'll see it in your November, December issue. Because you know, when we have the combined issues, the Mensa Bulletin doesn't come out at the beginning of the month. It's sort of toward the end. Mm-hmm. And especially given the national disgrace that we call the USPS these days. But you should get it by the end at any rate. You'll also see a piece in there on the 400th anniversary of Thanksgiving, 1621, the Massachusetts Pilgrims and the Wampanoag Native Americans, the first dinner, and you'll be interested to take a look at the incredible beauty and contribution of the Native American First Peoples. And you'll see that, as well as 6 pages with cartoons of the limericks, some of them from your folks. Now, I'm awfully intimidated here because I see Betty Haas, and Betty, I don't want to be personal, but I hope you'll show up as a person and not just that picture, because you know I adore you, who's a terrific artist and the editor of your newsletter, and we've been in touch a lot, and she's just such contributed. And Mr. Mensa back, fam, in 2011, was it?
That's
and
right.
Of course, has been emceeing it since then. And I think you did have an article right in that back section of the bulletin not too long ago about your adventures that way, and just a terrific guy. And I know a lot of the others. Susan, you're just a great maneuver there. I see that last name and so on. So just a privilege to be here. So what we're going to do is this. It's going to be a little different for you. Pia and I just felt, now that the apocalypse is showing up in the rearview mirror, maybe, that we'd make it really funny. So I'm going to try to be funny here, and I'm going to do, if we have time, 3 acts. And in between, I'll take your questions on puns to punctuation, pronouns to pronunciation, diction to dictionaries, palaver to palindromes. I'm 83 and a half. And at this point, I was editor of my junior high school literary magazine, my high school newspaper, and I never forget anything about language that's worthwhile. So my point is, the only stupid question you can ask is the one that you don't ask, and then at the end you said, oh, darn it, it's too late now, I should have asked Richard Lederer. But it's not too late, because you can always email me and you will get an answer. Real quick, Roberta, is my email address up on anything that you're doing? If not, I can go low tech. Do you have it up there so people know
We
how
don't, no, but we would appreciate if you would put that. And then this way, all your books are listed on your Wikipedia page. So this way people can choose one and order from you by email.
What do you mean one? What are you talking about? What are you talking about one? Are you
It's Christmas time. I forgot, Richard.
Yeah, about that. Well, we'll get to that, but I'm not going to be commercial.
How much for the package of all 50, Richard?
Well, 55. I would go about $400 to $500 for that. That doesn't happen often, but at any rate, I will not sell you a book that doesn't work for you. We'll get to that later.
Okay.
Darn it, I should have my email address somewhere. If not, I'll just announce it and you can put it in chat. Let's stay with this for now. So there are a number of milestones, not millstones, coming up. One of them is that, and you will see this in your November-December issue. This is, as I say, the 400th anniversary of the first Thanksgiving dinner. 1621, the Wampanoag Native Americans and the Massachusetts Pilgrims, and that was the first dinner. And you're going to see something about the luminous contribution to our vocabulary of the Native Americans. So you're going to see that in that issue. Another thing is that November 26th, I am 83 and a half years old. Remember when we were like, I'm 4 1/4, 4 1/2, 4 3/4, you know, that kind of thing. Then we stopped doing that. Trust me, in your 80s, you start doing it again. So as of November 26th, I am going to be 83 and a half. And here's something you might find interesting, and maybe a few of you are within my ken, within my radius, my gravity. You're looking at a man, obviously alive and well and kicking, who has lived more than 1/3 of the number of years that America has officially been a nation. You heard me. I, alive and well, and still as word struck as ever, the most word struck, word besotted, word bethumped wordaholic you'll ever meet. I'm alive and I've lived more than 1/3 the number of years of our young nation. Easy math, especially for Mensans. And we all believe that there are 3 kinds of people, those who can count and those who can't. So that was 245 years and a little bit of change, meaning coin change, that we became a nation, July 4th, 1776. 83 times 3 is 249, easy math. So if you're 82 or more, you definitely qualify. And what do you know? So let's be very, very clear. And that is, I may have to announce it because I've had 6 gigs this weekend. Mensans reaching out, one for homeless children in the area, one for an outfit up in Encinitas here that purchases and gives all-terrain bicycles to South Africans so that the students can get to school more expeditiously, and that the nurses 4 times the number of patients that they would ordinarily be able to get to. And we take bicycles and other methods of transport for granted, but not many other countries do that. So it's the purpose-driven life, and part of it is Mensa. Some of you got a chance to see my wife, Simone, and to be specific, she is president of our San Diego Mensa. We're at about 750. I think you're bigger than we are, aren't we? Are you to 1,000 or something? Anybody can?
I think we're something like 1,500.
1,800 or so.
My God, so you all in Chicago must be about the biggest. And 1 + 1 = infinity. We're social animals. HIJKLMNO, which of course is H2O. Kind of, that's a rebus, you may know. So at any rate, Simone is also the new chair of the History and Archives Committee, National. And do you have an archivist, Noah's archivist, I don't know, in your group? And is that person by any chance on with us right now? I have no idea who that is.
That's Lindy Sinclair, and I don't believe she is on the.
Okay, well, tell Lindy if she wants to get in touch with me, and I'll hook her up with Simone. They're doing a heck of a job with the various groups, collecting newsletters and all of that. And because Simone is just huge in the genealogy. I'm going to do, I hope, 3 acts, and in between your questions. As it was said, more than a quarter of a century with the Mensa Bulletin. Chip Talby is the best editor I have ever had in a magazine, and my newest book on etymology is dedicated to him. Right up front, he is a dedicatee. He's thrilled. I've sent him a copy and all of that. He is just marvelous, and you've seen what's been happening to an already good magazine 10 times a year. Also, you're invited. It's only 1,000 miles south or whatever, or hundreds. But our holiday party will be December 4th, 3 to 8 p.m. because we're getting back together, and we adore it. We have given that party for many, many years, and it looks like we're going to have about 50 of us. So 3 acts. Ask your questions in between. I'm usage editor of the Random House Dictionary. I have a PhD in linguistics, the scientific study of language. I am the most word-struck man you'll ever meet, and here's a chance to do that. And great luck with your RG the next weekend when we're going to be flying out without a plane, incidentally, to New York and Philadelphia, our daughters. You may know Annie Duke, the winningest woman in poker history. You do, Roberta. You know she's my daughter. And Howard, my son. I am the most successful breeder of world-class poker players in history. And I taught them from diapers, and I don't mean mine, I mean theirs. Because everybody, just remember that marriage, though, is like a deck of cards. You start off with 2 hearts and a diamond, and pretty soon you want to grab a club and use a spade. That's called a quadruple homograph. Now, help me out, Roberta. Everybody seems to be muted. I would like people unmuted if they wish, and I don't think they can do it unless you can let them, because I want to hear the response.
I can ask people to unmute.
They can unmute by themselves?
Yeah.
Okay, guys and gals, please unmute if you'd like. It's more up close and personal. I've been reaching a lot of people by Zoom, and I want to hear, I mean, I can see it, but everybody seems to be muted. Okay, Carl is unmuted now. I see. Betty is unmuted. Okay, good.
Not muted.
Hey, Betty, there are 60 iterations of the name Elizabeth. If you email me, I'll send them to you. That's from my names book. So after each act, that's going to last maybe 5 or 7 minutes, although it will seem longer to you. See, that's what I want to hear. Good. That restorative power of laughter. I will take questions on any area of grammar usage. And I don't want anybody to be nervous. Just real quickly, my favorite t-shirt. I'll try to hold this up and that you can see it. Don't anybody get nervous about that. Even though I'm doing it, but come on, this is Mensa, and you all ain't going to speak no non-standard English, this irregardless of what I think. So act number 1, but honestly, I'd love, and please, if I can, of course, obviously it's from afar, but if I can serve any of your personal enterprises, if you have a book club, for example, please don't hesitate to be in touch. And if I could, Roberta, could somebody just type in my email?
Sure.
Which, by the way, is in each Mensa Bulletin at the end of my column. Richard H. Lederer, you have to do the H. Richard H. Lederer, Lederer. Leder means, you may know, a leather, as in lederhosen in German. And then the second ER is what we call a noun agency suffix. So leather person is the German equivalent of Skinner and Tanner at gmail.com.
Okay.
Okay, and the website is simply Verbivore. Thank you so much, Roberta.
Oh,
I
you're
enjoyed you
welcome.
already. Good. See, people don't say you're welcome today. You know, no problem. And the website is verbivore.com. Verbivore, and that's on the book list. If that's listed, all of that will be there. So I'm going to start off with perhaps my most famous essay, The World According to Student Bloopers. So this is a so-called history, air quotes, by the way, that came in about 20 years ago, of the world, cobbled together from genuine, authentic, certified, unretouched student bloopers, botches, and boo-boos. And listen carefully and you'll read and you'll learn a lot. But I don't make them up. I just stitch them together. Call me Dr. Frankenstein. The inhabitants of ancient Egypt lived in the Sahara Desert, which they cultivated by irrigation and over which they traveled by camelot. They all rode in hydraulics, and ancient Egyptian women wore a colossus, a loose-fitting garment which began just below the breast, which hung to the floor. Good. It looks to me like some of you are still muted. That's up to you. Incidentally, I would posit that the verb unmute is about 2 years old with Zoom. Now, you could mute as a verb a trumpet, but when you took it off, that we never said unmute. And so my point is, there's a good example of how history and technology give us new words. And we passed 1 million back in 2009. Ha ha, another Rich Lederer joke. I'm not joking, fellow Mensans, because Google global search, yeah, there we go, verbivore.com. Thank you, Roberta. And then if you can put up the Richard H. Lederer at gmail.com.
Mhm.
Because if you send me a note, does the period go inside or outside of the end quote? I mean, I do all of that. You'll get an answer. You're not going to get some big communication. Either I'll attach or I'll just write you a sentence or two and answer your question. So if, for example, which is correct, Dr. Lederer, 9 and 7 is 15 or 9 and 7 are 15, I would send you the answer, of course. It's 16 and see, no problem at all. From the Egyptians, we naturally moved to the Bible. The Bible is full of many interesting caricatures, including Noah, whose wife was called Joan of Arc, and Lot, whose wife was a pillar of salt by day and a ball of fire by night. You all know why Adam and Eve were the happiest couple on earth. Well, it's because she couldn't tell him how many other men she could have married, and he couldn't tell her how much he loved his mother's cooking. And you do know that, you know, the first person in the Bible to use a computer, it was Moses, who downloaded data from the cloud to his tablet.
Yeah.
So speaking of Moses, he went up, this is back to the students, Moses went up on Mount Sinai to get the 10 Commandments, but he died before he ever reached Canada. David was a king skilled at playing the lyre. You know how that was spelled, L-I-A-R. It should be L-Y-R-E, a stringed instrument, and gives us the word lyrics and lyricism, all of that. And Solomon, one of David's sons, had 300 wives and 700 porcupines. I wanted to add to that one, to whom he made love very carefully, but I didn't because no student wrote that, so I don't put it in. I also do New Testament. You know, all those jokes about A walks into a bar and, you know, that kind of thing. So I love doing it with people. And you probably all know that one. Descartes walks in and the bartender says, would you like a drink? I think not. And he disappeared because it was Descartes. I think, therefore I am. Charles Dickens walks into a bar and what would you like, says the bartender, or a martini? And the bartender says, will that be olive or twist?
Oh.
And then, you know, Jesus Christ walks into a bar. I hope I won't offend anyone. And the bartender says, what can I serve you? And Jesus says, I'll take a glass. Let me just think for a minute. If you could just give me water inside a wine glass, that's all I need. Good. And you hear the laughter. And look, gang, Isn't this why we're in Mensa? Because we want people who get us, and we don't want to translate all the time. And you know that some of these jokes you try with others, and I'm not trying to be snooty or snotty here. And notice with all of those, you start wrinkling the nose. And if you're interested in my work in sound echoism, trust me, I've done a lot of work in language. I think you all know that, especially if you've been reading me for 25 years. But Mensa, where we get your jokes. So we now move from the Bible to the Greeks. The Greeks were the classical world. The Greeks were a highly sculptured people, and without them, we wouldn't have history. Probably true. The Greeks invented 3 kinds of columns: Corinthian, ironic, and Doric. Hearing again the laughter of educated people. They also invented myths. A myth is a female moth, and one myth tells us that the mother of Achilles dipped him in the river Styx until he became intolerable. I'll bet you almost all of you have read the Iliad, at least in translation, and so you get that. Educated people, I don't care if you went to college and which one and how many years, if any, that you devoted after college. What I care is you make learning a lifelong experience. That's what education is, and that's what I do. I try to learn something new almost every day, really. Boy, Gerda Godley, what a terrific name. And it's almost a reversal for danger, but not quite. You're missing the end. And only in the Mensa Bulletin can I do a lot of anagrams and palindromes. Riddler Reacher at your service. That's every letter in my name, because my other audience, they don't dig anagrams and palindromes and isograms and pangrams. So I don't do it, because being good at language is knowing your audience. So at any rate, from the Greeks to the Romans, a focus on my book, Anguished English, 1 million copies sold. So at any rate, Julius Caesar extinguished himself on the battlefields of Gaul, and when the Ides of March murdered him, he expired with these immortal words upon his dying lips: "Eat you, Brutus." And you see, if you'll allow me to mix a metaphor, how your stomach is detonated into a rolling boil. Because you know it's et tu, Brute, and maybe you had Julius Caesar in 10th grade in high school. They don't teach it anymore because the female characters, you know, Calpurnia and Portia, they don't have many lines and they're not assertive, so we don't have that play anymore. But a lot of us at our age would notice it. So at any rate, the wheel of history turns again, and the Romans were overrun by the ball bearings. This brings us into the Middle Ages, when everyone was middle-aged. Speaking of the Middle Ages, Simone and I, that's my wife, whom I married for tech support, as you heard earlier, and many other qualities. But we just saw The Last Duel and just thought it was marvelous. Hands up if anybody saw it. Wow. It's written by Damon and Affleck. It is an incredible evocation of late 14th century Normandy, and with a very interesting female thread spooling out. And I can't tell you what that is because I'd be a spoiler. And hardly anybody's seen it because COVID is keeping older people out of movie theaters. So what is working what is working is now the big Avengers and so on, because the younger people do go out, and it's starting to skew the movie industry in a way that I don't like. All right, somebody's talking there, and shouldn't. And I'm only saying it because I did get a little complaint in the chat room, but it's helpful. I'd rather hear the laughter. It's going to allow me it's going to give me more energy, because I am the quintessential extrovert. And if you're wondering about what's quintessential, you notice that's the number 5. That's in my new book, And just a minute. Sorry, they're over here. Folks, just bear with me for a minute. These are my 54th and 55th books. I have 5 new books the last year, and I'm 83 and a half. And these are the best books I will ever write. And they are etymology in a way you've never seen. All right, somebody is talking there or sound. Please, it's only one person. Don't ruin it for the rest of us. And as you can see,
I'm seeing that it's coming from Sharon T. Her box keeps turning yellow.
well, all right. Well, then tell Sharon if she could not do that. That would be nice. You may not be able to. So you see, like on this one, gerrymander, funny bone, echo, and silhouette. And on this one, furrowed brow, cakewalk, teddy bear, and Daisy from the Eye of Day. And that's what it's about, but it's not A to Z. So you feel you're swimming in cream. It's 13 thematic clusters of about 5 chapters each, starting with body parts and going through politics, entertainment, and all sports and so on. So that's that. And write me. I'll be happy to send it out, and I'll do a little bit more shilling later on. So at any rate, the wheel of history turns again, and the Romans are overrun by the ball bearings, as I said. The Middle Ages, then, when everybody was middle-aged, King Arthur lived in the age of chivalry with brave knights on prancing horses and beautiful women. Joan of Arc was burnt to a stake. I call that a rare medium well done. People contracted the bubonic plague, which caused them to grow boobs on their necks. Magna Carta provided that no free man should be hanged twice for the same offense. Twice, talk about being well hung, my God. People perform morality plays about ghosts, goblins, virgins, and other mythical creatures. Then came the Renaissance, when people really felt the value of their human being. What a marvelous, albeit inadvertent, definition of humanism and the return of the classical values. And that's what happens with us in Mensa. We feel the value of our human being among people who get our jokes and everything else. So the Renaissance, a time of a great many inventions and discoveries. Gutenberg invented the Bible in removable type. Sir Walter Raleigh discovered cigarettes and started smoking. And Sir Francis Drake circumcised the world with a 100-foot clipper. Isn't that a great double? Now, those were from 2 different students. And as I say, in the manner of Dr. Victor Frankenstein, I just stitched them together. Excuse me. I also do, and there's going to be another misplaced modifier. You shouldn't dangle your participle in public, as you know. So I also do, this is from a book called Anguished English that sold 1 million copies. I'd be happy to share it. During the Renaissance, America began. Christopher Columbus discovered America while cursing about the Atlantic on the Nina, the Pinta Colada, and the Santa Fe. Those were 2 different students. I stitched them. And then jumping up in time, Abraham Lincoln became America's greatest president, President. And Lincoln's mother died in infancy, and he was born in a log cabin, which he built with his very own hand. Abraham Lincoln wrote the Gettysburg Address while traveling from Washington to Gettysburg on the back of an envelope. You see the misplaced modifier. You want to get, hey, Peter Antoniak, great. Yeah, and your sister, and we're sort of in touch, great family, and I hope we'll be seeing each other. I certainly plan to be up in Reno or in Sparks at any rate.
I'll be doing the joke off at the local regional. And
terrific.
I have a great new joke in the end if anybody wants to hear it.
Well, I may throw something in. In fact, I may do that right at the end of this. We'll see what we have time for.
Okay.
Yes, and he does a great job with that. At any rate, but yeah, we'll be up there. I may be doing a grammar show, Ask Dr. Grammar Guy, and any of those questions you have. What is all this business about they as a 3rd person singular pronoun as well as plural. I saw that, Susan. I think you went that, didn't you, when I said it? Like chalk squeaking on a blackboard. And yeah, feel free to ask me because I have an opposite opinion. So we'll wait. Speaking about misplaced modifiers, here are 3 that I've collected that are in my Anguished English book. From TV Guide, late 80s, Yoko Ono talks about her husband, John Lennon, who was killed in an interview with Barbara Walters on ABC. Then a few years later, Boston Globe, so a little more New England-y, former hostage Terry Anderson talks about her 5 years of captivity, his 5 years of captivity with Barbara Walters on Channel 5 at 10 p.m. And then kind of in the middle of the 90s, Greg Louganis, probably the greatest diver America has ever produced. The diving and amateur sports communities remained in shock today. Let me just see here. Remained in shock today following revelations by Olympic diver Greg Louganis, who talks about his having contracted AIDS in a 2020 interview with Barbara Walters. And you get the idea. Don't dangle your participles in public. So that's a little bit from that.
Don't get interviewed by Barbara Walters.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. You don't want to. And my God, 1,500. I'm sure most of you know. You see that? Do you see the hidden? Hands up. Don't say it. If you see the hidden design.
Yes.
Hands up. Just hands up. Okay. So that looks like only about 10 or 15% of you. Well, you can now torture your family with this. So, by the way, if that's by air, if it's green, it's by land. And you'll notice a big E and a small X. I want you to be psychically mobile for me, friends. And I want you to look at the white space with the big E and the little X and notice they are joined. And now look at the negative space. And what do you see, everybody?
The error.
The arrow, meaning if I could, there's the stem.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And I love that O because that is my business. I want to show you what you didn't know that you knew. So now with your family, when a truck goes by, or if you have a mailer that you receive, we're going to say, don't you see it there? No, you don't see that? What the hell? You know, but there it is. So now, by the way, you'll never not see it. Every time you see it, you're going to go to the white space. Questions on your writing. Maybe you're writing the memoir. The kids don't give a crap, but the grandkids do. What are the possibilities? Or something else that you're writing? Or, gee, what is the difference between self-publishing and brick and mortar? Or as I say, grammar, spelling, and punctuation. Does that period, end period, go inside or outside of the end quote? I'm your guy. Or, gee, what are your favorite palindromes? You know, anything like that, my pleasure. And I think the way we'll do it is just be sure you're unmuted and you can put it in the chat or just ask me and I will try my best to answer. So who'd like to start us off here? Yes, all right, Susan.
I think I'm unmuted. What do you think of the characters on TV shows who use bad grammar? I mean, it goes by the writers of the shows and the actors, and it's especially the object of a preposition.
Well, between you and I, Susan, let me tell you an answer. That's called hypercorrection, and you hear newscasters. I don't like it, but frankly, Susan, the deeper you get in the language, the less you care a lot about that. And remember, I'm usage editor of the Random House Dictionary, so I'm really in the grammar. And being good in language is code switching. So things like, if it ain't fixed, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we have two non-standards, but that's fine within that code. But when you have newscasters doing it between you and I, or talking about the amount of people who showed up here, and obviously it's number, I get number whenever that happens. That's called a heteronym, which I just did. Complete accident, but they're spelled the same. It's not good, and you don't like to hear that. And same with pronunciation. The Pulitzer Prize, no, it's the Pulitzer Prize. It's kind of the same thing. So what do I think? I think that the right, well, it isn't being taught in school anymore. Yeah, Greg, thank you. Yeah, no, 40 because you see that up there. Don't look for logic in the English language, no, with spelling. Take a word like baseline, B-A-S-E-L-I-N-E, just change the V to a V and look what happens. It's not Vaseline, it's Vaseline. You add a syllable, you flatten out the vowels. O-U-G-H, I've isolated 12 pronunciations. If you need that, soundings, I can send it to you. 2 of them are really arcane, but 10 are not. And O-U-G-H can be sounded as off, as in cough, right? I can add 3 letters to the front and I change it to up. Can you believe that if I add 3 letters? The 3 letters are H-I-C. It now goes from off to up. Holy crap, what's that all about? And so on. So Susan, I guess the answer is, yes, I am concerned. And I've written books on grammar and what else can we do? And Dr. Lederer, Susan, 3 rules of correction. 1, are you correct? Because if you think, oh no, your work isn't done, meat is done, your work is finished, no reputable grammar manual has that. You're just completely wrong. A woman's work is never done. We don't say finished. And if we have a choice in America, we go for the shorter word, usually. Second, do it. Second, will it make a difference? If it's not, we just don't, I don't do it. And third, if so, do it in private. So I go in for an X-ray or an MRI, and the person in charge says, now lay down, Mr. Lederer. I say, no, it's lie down. Yeah, well, it is. And the very simple thing is, so watch me. Here's my comb. You all see it. I'm going to lay it on my desk, which you can't see. Ready? Lay. As soon, or on my hand. As soon as it hits my hand, it's lying there, right? Okay. Lay, lie. It's very simple. First comes the laying, then comes the lying. What's so hard about that? However, there are very strong historical reasons why those are the 2 most confused verbs. And honestly, when I do that with the X-ray person or the MRI, or I just did for an echocardiogram, the next time I come in, they say, lie down, see, I have it. And because they're going to say that 10 times a day, people like that. So I think I did 2 questions there. 1 more for now, if anybody has one. Anything on your mind, a word or phrase origin? Okay, I'll go to act number 2. We may go over time and I have permission. I'm a teacher and a compulsive sharer. Among the 5 new books, and I didn't plan on that, if you are a fellow English major or English lover, Richard Lederer's Ultimate Book of Literary Trivia. Those are all on my site. When I get an order, I usually go the next day or 2 to the USPS, our main office. Authors, works, and titles, Bible, mythology, Shakespeare. And these are on our website, of course, that Simone does. Some of you may have seen Bill Shippers and my, I'm using a double possessive there for reasons I can explain later. Our concert, we now have a CD of dances with words, and all the words up on the screen that we do are in here, also $15. And finally, your holiday shopping, there are going to be empty shelves. This is 13. It's not a children's book. And if you know my brand, it's learning dressed up to have fun. I will send you 1 or 10 or anything in between. And of course, I inscribe as well as sign Merry Christmas to Sally Smith or Jimmy Jones or you. And it's 30% stuff about Christmas you never knew before. Why does the narrator of the 12 Days of Christmas, why did the true love give her not only a partridge, but an entire pear tree? Sounds kind of cumbersome. You'll find the answer. what was the influence and still is of A Christmas Carol, Charles Dickens, I think it was 1833. It changed Christmas in ways you don't know about. And also the etymologies of about 25 Christmas words like solstice or Christmas itself, the Mass of Christ. And at any rate, and it's 13 and it's just a great Christmas gift. And you'd be supporting a fellow Mensa. And by the way, a little bit late, but it's companion book, if you wish, the Halloween book. I go happy Halloweeny to Sally Smith, because what do you call an empty hot dog? A Halloweeny. And if you're unsure, you can just email me and I'll answer any of your questions. Okay, Roberta, is it really important for you to end at 3, or can I do a couple? All right, you're a sweet.
No, not at all. We welcome you to go on
You're
as
so-
long
well,
as you wish to stay with us. Richard.
No, you don't want to say that because it's going to be midnight, because I'm a compulsive sharer, because I just happen to be like this and I love sharing it. And with the purpose-driven life, you try to reach as many people as possible. This is my 5th gig of the weekend, and 2 of them were from really, major charities, and it's what I do. That's all I can say. You have to be who you are and why you're put on this planet. And I see that with my wife and her leadership with Mensa, just terrific. Please let the archivist know, though, that if she wants to get in touch, maybe through me or maybe Simone herself, because she's really digging to get all that stuff.
Okay.
Think about your questions. You may know that I am International Punster of the Year, which Roberta kindly said. So what I do is I perform puns. I collect them, classic puns. Just a minute, please. So I'm going to do 2 for you. And that'll take me a little bit after 3, but not a lot. And let's have fun. Okay, so everybody, hands up if you know who Quasimodo is. I want to see those hands. I know. Okay, good. Just about all of you. Betty, I can't tell yours. No, oh, you still have the picture up. Incredible woman. So yes. So as you know, it's not the real Modo, it's the Quasimodo, right? Okay, good. I see Peter Antoniak is taking notes of me. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Peter, you don't have, Peter the Rock, you don't have to take notes. Just email me what you want, and I'll be very happy to do it. So at any rate, not the quarterback of Notre Dame, not the halfback of Notre Dame, not the fullback of Notre Dame, but the Hunchback of Notre Dame. So you're going to learn how to do a Quasimodo face, and I'm looking at you. So anybody who doesn't do this, retest. So here we go. Here's how you make a Quasimodo face. I'm looking at everyone. Take your index finger and pull down on the outside of your eyes. Now take your thumb and pull up. Okay, okay. You can undo now. Okay. Fam, I have bad news for you, sir. You're stuck. You still look like that. But look how versatile this is. Watch this. Quasimodo, right? Phantom of the Opera. See, you can just do all sorts of things with it. Well, Quasimodo, I had a hunch you'd all get that. Quasimodo grows too old to ring the bell. So he puts an ad out in the paper, wanted bell ringer. And the next day he opens the front door, and there out on the stoop is a gentleman with no arms. Ordinarily, I'd be standing up, but I'm putting my arms behind me, completely disarming. Quasimodo says, wait a minute, are you here for the job of bell ringer? Yes, I am. Well, how do you prefer to ring the bell? Thank you there from Robin. I enjoy your writing. Oh, and funny times, yeah. I hope also in the Mensa Bulletin, that's right. Funny times, I was present at the creation, whoever sent me that note, and I'm still writing for them. That's great. It's out of Cleveland, terrific bag. I write for all over the country. So I hope I get this at the right place. So Quasimodo says, well, how do you propose to ring the bell when you evince such a prominent lack of appendages in the upper torso area? Well, I may have no arms, says the man, but I have a very tough forehead. I run at the bell. I strike them with my forehead, and they emit a gorgeous, exquisite, sonorous, beautiful, and because you're Mensans, I'm going to add tintinnabulating sound. And I say that because you probably have read the bells, the tintinnabulation of the bells, Susan, I see. I think that means yes in Mensan. So I can do that with Mensans. Remember, if you love poetry, Poetry, you want to try Poe, Trypoe. Those are called fortunate reversals. And any of my material you want on anagrams and palindromes, which I think will start showing up in January, February, preserve both R's. It's from the god February. You need that first R. I can do pronunciation for you too. Or is it pronunciation? No, pronunciation. I think you're going to start seeing those two issues. I think it's up to Chip, anagrams and palindromes, because you know what dyslexia is. I have eulexia, and everything I see starts dancing around and rearranging itself. And genetic and environmental roulette, and I'm just so grateful that I have it. I love it. I'm happiest doing it. So at any rate, the bell. So I strike it with my forehead, and it'll be tintinnabulate. You're hired, says Quasimodo, and the armless man mounts the obligatory spiral staircase up into the bell tower, looks at the bell, runs at it. Bang! Gorgeous, exquisite, sonorous, beautiful, tintinnabulating. But the bell is on a fulcrum, a lever. The bell swings back, claps him in the head, except he couldn't do that. He has no arms. Knocks him out of the tower, and he splatters on the cobblestones below. Well, the police come along. Mr. Quasimodo. Yes. Do you know this man? Yes, I do. He was an employee of mine, and I guess he jumped to a conclusion. Oh, yes, he did. Thank you. That's a Mensa joke. So at any rate, well, for our record, sir, can you give us his name? And Quasimodo says, I don't know his name, but his face rings a bell. His face rings a bell. If you like that joke, but it went too fast, email me and said, send me Quasimodo. And as a bonus, I'll give you part 2, which I'm not going to do here because of time. But there is a second follow-up and sometimes more. Again, for those of you maybe not here at the beginning, a number of your limericks on Christmas for my annual contest are going to be in the bulletin, and some of them are cartoonly. This new guy that's working with me, Brent, like Ledicky or something like that, he gets me, and you're going to see that probably at the end of this month for November, December. Okay, a few more questions, then I'll do Act 3. Any more questions on grammar, writing, self-publishing, brick and mortar publishing, spelling? Tell me how pronunciation, history of the language. Please, I can help you.
I have a question, Richard, about, it seems every day we have some new words.
Yes, we
based
do.
on
They're called
concepts.
Neologisms.
Neologisms. So the latest one I heard was demisexual. Have you heard that one?
No, I've heard non-binary. I've heard non-binary.
Yeah. And it doesn't seem like a brand new concept, but it's a brand new word to me. And apparently it means a demisexual is someone who cannot feel sexual attraction for another person until they get to know them.
Okay, stop right there for a minute.
Okay.
I didn't see any red flashing lights. And notice what Roberta, and I'm not criticizing, as you'll see, Roberta, and I wouldn't dare with you anyway. A person, blah, 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 until they. So she went what looked like, no, wait a minute. What looked like a third person singular to a third person plural. And does anybody say she just effed up with agreement? No, because we do it. And that's the way. What is she going to say? He or she, so that he or she can achieve his or her full potential. That, my friends, is sexually transmitted tedium in speaking and writing. So what you did, Roberta, is what we all do. And that's my point. You did it. I'll bet you nobody went oy vey or, carambra, because we do it. And by the way, I've traced it back to Chaucer and Canterbury Tales. And by the way, we've already done it before. Oh, Betty, nice to see you now, as you, up in the North Pole or something like that. I can't tell. But do you understand? And we'll get back to your question. You know, I'm old, but language is there to serve us. And we have done this before with thou and ye. If I say thou shalt not steal, that means, and I'm pointing to each of you, you probably can't tell, but you, I'm pointing to Roberta, and you to Joyce, and you to Frank and Mary Ray, and I'm going, that's each of you, and O ye of little faith, or maybe a lot of faith, that's all of you. That used to be two different ones, and now guess what? In most parts of the country, we have this little thingy called YOU. And nobody says, wait a minute, that can't be singular and plural. None of you ever thought about asking that. So now we have they, because we don't like the he or she. Before it used to be he. In English, ha ha, the male embraces the female, oy vey. But you get me. But now that's not good. I'm all for that. But the he or she gets tedious, so we use they. And especially with more gender fluidity, we need that they. And by the way, one day, they is coming in, maybe, but not yet. You still have to say are, as you would with you. And if any of you are interested in my work, in fact, I had it as a column, I think 2 years ago, in the bulletin, I'm happy to send it to you. Anything called Sex in the Singular Pronoun and how they is come in, I would do that. And just remember, in the biological world, boy, do you have gender fluidity. You've got organisms that are both, or in some, like a fish community, if there aren't enough females, some of the males become females to keep the whole thing going. So, so again, your question specifically, Roberta, now that I've...
About the word demisexual.
All right, now the thing with me, to me, a demigod, am I wrong on this, is part God and part human being. So demisexual, I just prefer non-binary because, well, I guess demisexual means, yeah, I guess it means sexual in certain situations. Well,
Right.
it will have to pass through the crucible of us, and the gatekeepers at the dictionary companies, what they do is read like crazy, or, you know, on their computers or whatever. And when enough different media start using these new words, more than 1,000 a year, more than 1,000. That's more than 3 a day. Unmute being an example, which we have from Zoom. We didn't have it before. You could mute a trumpet, but you didn't unmute it. From the apocalypse to what I call, what Lewis Carroll called, portmanteau words that I love, COVIDiot. And you see the COVID and the idiot and the overlap, and like 'twas brilling in the slithy toes, and out of that we get galumph, galumph and chortle. Galumph from gallop triumphantly, and chortle from chuckle and snort, with the ort thrown into the middle. Any of that stuff I can help you with. And don't, oh my God, he's so busy. Hold it, Greg, keep that up, because I don't have my glasses on. And of course I can't find, oh, there we go. Greg, let me just see. What was that thing again, Greg? Put that up again, Greg. Greg, can you put that up on the...
Did English or its ancestors ever have a neuter third person pronoun?
Yes. Oh, probably it or something. The ancestor, of course, of us is Indo-European, and then you go through Proto-Germanic, and if you do a study of that, you will find, for some crazy mutant reason, it's much simpler than the other ones that came out of Indo-European. So I walk, let me just think, I walk, you walk, he walked, we have a little t, we walk, you walk, they walk. Hardly any other language has a verb conjugation that is so simple. And it's the same thing with plurals. So if you look up the history, oh my God, English must be so hard to learn. Yeah, only 70%, my friends, of all English speakers around the globe, 70% did not hear this language as babies and grow up speaking it as children. They learned it as a second, third, or fourth language. How hard can it be? And it isn't that hard. Our grammar is stripped down. We're not burdened by gender endings. Our conjugations are pretty simple. And so it's just a bum rap. And you know why we get it? Because our language is so cheerfully democratic and hospitable to the other languages. We are the great lagoon of nations.
Yeah.
We welcome them all. So there's an answer.
Before you continue, Richard, I just want to tell everyone that Mike has to go at 3 o'clock.
Oh, shoot.
But we can continue on. So
Will that continue to be recorded, Roberta?
he's going to stop the recording at 3.
Okay.
No, you don't, is there, I don't know, maybe unless there's another way to do it, Michael, I don't know.
Michael, can you leave it on and then somebody shuts it off?
What Michael can do is transfer the host function to somebody who is going to stay on, and then that person can
Good.
close it.
To Roberta or somebody. Yeah, guys, I've only got another hour and a half. I'm kidding. If you stick with me for about 10 more minutes, all right, here, what women been follow? Oh, Whorfian theorem, the more, yeah, boy, that's a good one. That's from Joyce Reynolds. Let me take a look at her on the screen. Do I see her or do I need the arrow? Joyce?
No, here.
Oh, there
I'm
you
here.
go.
I'll say hi.
Oh my God, that question, the bed. What she is asking is the relationship between language and perception of the world, right, Joyce?
Yes.
And that's what is the something, it's a hyphenated thing, Whorf hypothesis.
Sapir.
Sapir, that's right.
Yeah,
Benjamin
but I read
Sapir.
Whorf first, so I read him back in the 70s. So
Right.
Well, the idea is,
I'm back again now.
It's really
Yeah.
early.
Roberta, what does that mean you're back again? What did you say?
No, that the theory has come back because it was for a long time the Whorf.
Now, Roberta, you understand that has to be the third time to be back again. First you come, then you come back, and then you come back again. So that is what it's called, a hidden reading. What is your preference? Latin words while writing. Oh my God, the data are, these things are coming up too fast. I want that question, but it'll be after the next act. Whoever sent me that, I will address that. Okay, that was somebody on Latin and actually wrote the data, or is it data, depending on Star Trek, are used it as a plural because there actually is a word datum. So I prefer the long A. Because my wife, whom among other things, I married for tech support and many other support.
All right. So she knows that. Okay.
Yeah. That's the nature of marriage. It's you're each specializing, and I specialize in being a creative nut, and she specializes in being an incredible leader for Mensa. And we'll see you all up in Reno.
Yes.
At least I'll be there. And she's an amazing friend too. And this is Mensa. Folks, I collect Irish blessings for any of you. Hey, gee, McGuire, Roberta, is that Irish? McGuire?
The name is Irish. I'm not Irish,
Okay.
but
Because your husband or whatever.
right.
I also collect Irish stuff, including Irish blessings. One of them is there are good ships and there are wood ships, the ships that sail the sea, but the best ships are friendships, may they always be. And if your Mensa group is like ours, 90% of the people in the directory, I have no idea who they are. And then among the other approximately 70, some we see all the time, some on occasion, and that's the way these groups work. So at any rate, on the Sapir Whorf, Joyce, I'm not going to be real helpful, but the question is, we live in a house of language, and the words are the windows out to the world, including sexist words, racist words. Gee, the white cake is angel food cake, the black cake is devil's food cake, just as one. If you're interested in that, I've done all that work, not all, but so the idea here is, for example, some peoples have only either just black and white or just a few more for colors. And in our colors, and in the English language, Joyce, we have, oh my God, I bet you there are at least 100 and maybe 500. Do we see colors better? Or the Eskimos have more words for snow, not as many as advertised. than we do. They see snow better. And I'm not sure what the answer is. Do you have to have the word? Some tribes have no words for lying and nobody lies. So which came first there? They didn't lie, so they don't have the word, or they don't have the word, so they don't lie, because it's not part of the way they see the world. There's a lot better stuff written than I hope that's a little helpful, but I can't give you more. So let me just look at the chat for a minute. I love you all, and it's just so great. I am honored. What do you think of gift as a verb? And the answer is that's called conversion or function shift. And to me, the answer is, I think fine. I don't like free gift, and that is the ultimate redundancy. Re being again an unda as an undulate, meaning the wave. And one of the worst ones is with these initialism. Are you aware that an ATM machine is not only redundant, but redundantly redundant? Because ATM machine, the M is already there, like RSVP, please. But not only is there that redundancy, but to me, if it's automated, it is a machine. It's just an AT. Who the hell needs the M? And then on the M, why don't we just pile it up with machine and we'll have a double redundancy? Are you kidding me? All right, so look here, the Orphean, wow, oh my God, fabulously said. Latin words while writing. Okay, and that's from Samantha Fordyce. First of all, you're certainly going to use Latin because 50%, actually more, of our English words, and we passed 1 million, as I said, I think I said it back in 2009, and we know that through Google Global, what's the next word? I can't remember, but we always know how many words we have because Google follows it. And in 2009, we passed 1 million, only more than twice as much as the second largest language, most capacious language, which happens to be German. So, so Samantha Fordyce, I think I'm saying it right. So half of our words or more contain Latin etymons or Greek through Latin. More than half. Only 25% are the original Anglo-Saxon. In terms of Latin and Greek and that kind of thing, we have what's called the three-tiered language. Anglo-Saxon is the most direct and simple. French is more romantic and flavorful. And Latin, Greek are a little bit more formal and academic. The good writer has a feeling for this. And I tend to write, oh my God, Barbara, I love that. I tend to write as Anglo-Saxon as I can, but when the right word, you recall Mark Twain, the difference between the right word and the nearly right word is the difference between the lightning and the lightning bug. I try to write in Anglo-Saxon, I have a feel for that, but when the Latin word or even the French word is the best word, it will gleam in its setting. So I try to be Anglo-Saxon, but I do throw in the Latin and Greek, and of course I have to with linguistics.